The alarm screamed through the halls of Harmony's Edge like a wounded animal. Red lights painted everything in blood colors. Dr. Park dropped her coffee and ran toward the command center, her boots hitting the metal floor in quick beats. She was 34 years old, small by most standards, with tired eyes and hands that never stopped shaking after her third war zone. But those hands had saved more lives than she could count. Human lives, alien lives. It did not matter to her. A life was a life. When she reached the command center, the massive screen showed a planet burning. Fire spread across its surface like orange veins. Smoke rose into the dark sky. The planet was called Prime, home to one of the most feared species in the galaxy. There were predators. They looked like wolves but stood on two legs and reached 3 meters tall. Their teeth could tear through metal. Their claws could cut through bone. Every species in the galaxy feared them. Every species kept their distance. Captain Lee stood before the screen, his face hard as stone. He was an old soldier with gray hair and scars on his neck. He had seen too much death to feel anything anymore, or so he told himself. Coalition launched orbital strikes, he said without looking at. They hit the colony hard. Military bases, power stations, communication towers. He paused. And the nursery complex. Felt her stomach drop. The nursery. Over 40 cubs inside when the bombs fell. Most of the adults are dead or fighting on the front lines. The cubs are alone. The room was silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The cubs would die. No one would save them. No one wanted to save future predators. The galaxy would sleep better knowing there were fewer in the universe. Looked at the burning planet. She thought about 40 children trapped in fire and smoke, crying for parents who would never come. It did not matter that they had claws. It did not matter that they would grow into dangerous creatures. Right now, they were just children. I will go, she said. Captain Lee turned to her. His eyes were tired and sad. No. Captain, those are children. Those are cubs. In 10 years, they will be killing machines. Every species in the coalition wants them dead. If you go down there, you go alone. No backup. No support. The control the orbit. They will shoot down any rescue ship. Did not blink, then I will fly fast. You will die. Maybe, she walked toward the door, but I will not sit here and watch children burn. Captain Lee grabbed her arm. His grip was strong but gentle. She saw something in his eyes that surprised her. Fear, not for the mission, for her. He said quietly, I have sent soldiers to their deaths before. I have made hard choices, but I have never sent someone on a mission with zero chance of success. This is not brave. This is suicide. She put her hand over his. Do you have children, Captain? He was silent for a long moment. I had a daughter. She died in the war. She was 7. Nodded slowly. Then you understand. Those cubs down there are someone's children too. Maybe their parents are dead. Maybe their parents are fighting and cannot reach them, but someone loved them. Someone held them when they were born and dreamed of their future. She pulled her arm free gently. I cannot save your daughter. I cannot bring her back, but I can save these children. Let me try. Captain Lee stared at her for a long time. Then he stepped aside. Take Shuttle 7. It is small and fast. I will give you a 30-minute window before the sensors recalibrate. He looked away. May whatever gods exist watch over you, Doctor. Ran to the shuttle bay. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. She had done this before. Not exactly this, but close enough. She had walked into war zones to save wounded soldiers. She had crawled through rubble to find survivors. She had held dying strangers in her arms and told them they were not alone. This was just another mission. Another chance to prove that humans were more than just soft creatures with no claws and no fangs. Humans had something else, something that confused the galaxy. They called it compassion. She climbed into Shuttle 7 and started the engines. The small ship hummed to life around her. Through the window, she could see the burning planet waiting for her. Do you copy? she said into her communicator. A voice crackled back. It was Shin, her friend and colleague. He was monitoring from the main ship. I copy. Please tell me you are not doing this. I am already in the shuttle. This is crazy. You know that, right? They have 12 warships in orbit. The colony atmosphere is toxic. The nursery is probably collapsed. Even if you reach the cubs, how will you get them out? I will figure it out. That is not a plan. Smiled, it is the only plan I have. She launched the shuttle. The force pushed her back into her seat as the small ship shot forward into the darkness of space. Stars blurred around her. The burning planet grew larger and larger. The ships appeared on her scanner, 12 dots surrounding the planet like hungry sharks. She pushed the engines harder. The shuttle screamed through space. Warning lights flashed. A ship had spotted her. Weapons were locking on. She dove toward the planet, using its gravity to pull her faster. Laser fire streaked past her window, bright and deadly. One hit grazed her wing. The shuttle shook but held together. She entered the atmosphere. Fire surrounded her ship as she fell toward the surface. The colony appeared below, broken and burning. She could see the nursery complex near the center. Half of it had collapsed. Smoke poured from the ruins. She landed hard in a field of ash. The shuttle's door opened, and hot, toxic air rushed in. She put on her helmet and grabbed her medical kit. The nursery was 200 meters away. The ground was covered in debris and bodies. She did not look at the bodies. She could not afford to feel anything right now. She reached the nursery entrance. The door was bent and broken. She squeezed through the gap and entered the darkness. The sound hit her first. Crying. Dozens of small voices crying in the dark. Cubs, injured and alone, calling for mothers and fathers who would never answer. Turned on her light and moved forward. She found them in the main hall. 23 cubs huddled together in the corner, covered in dust and blood. Their eyes glowed in her light, wide with fear and pain. They were small, the biggest no larger than a human child. Their fur was silver and gray, soft like clouds. When they saw her, they growled, a human, a stranger. Their instincts told them to fight or run, but they were too injured to do either. Knelt slowly and removed her helmet. The toxic air burned her lungs, but she needed them to see her face, to see that she was not a threat. I am here to help, she said softly. I am going to get you out of here. The largest cub, a female with bright golden eyes, stepped forward. She bared her teeth at, trying to look dangerous, but saw the way her leg was bleeding. She saw the fear behind the anger. My name is, she said. I know you are scared, I am scared too, but I will not leave you, I promise. Behind her, through the broken walls, she saw lights in the sky. Enemy ships entering orbit. The second strike was coming. The golden-eyed cub stood between and the others. Her small body shook with pain and fear, but she refused to move. She was protecting her family the only way she knew how. Stayed very still. She had worked with frightened animals before. She knew that sudden movements meant danger. So she waited, breathing the toxic air that burned her throat, letting the cub study her. What is your name? Asked gently. The cub tilted her head. She understood the words but did not trust them. She finally said, her voice was rough and young. That is a beautiful name. How old are you? 7 cycles. 7 years old, leading a group of injured children through the end of their world, felt her heart break a little more. I need to help the others. Some of them are hurt badly. Will you let me? Did not move. Her golden eyes searched space for lies, for tricks, for danger. She found none. Why? Asked. Why help us? We are your kind fears us. Smiled sadly. I fear many things, but not children, never children. Slowly stepped aside. Moved quickly but carefully. She examined each cub, counting injuries, broken bones, deep cuts, burns from the fires, internal bleeding. At least 5 cubs needed immediate surgery or they would die within hours. The others had smaller wounds that still needed treatment. Her medical kit was not enough. It was never going to be enough. But she started anyway, cleaning wounds, applying bandages, giving pain medicine to the cubs who cried the loudest. Watched everything. When struggled to hold a cub still while treating a deep cut, came and held the cub down gently, speaking soft words in her own language. The cub calmed. "Thank you," said. Did not answer, but she stayed close after that. The communicator in his helmet crackled. His voice came through, broken and afraid. "Are you there? Please respond." She grabbed the helmet. "I am here. I found 23 survivors. I need extraction." There was silence, then spoke again, and his voice was hollow. "Your shuttle is gone. They destroyed it from orbit. There is no extraction available. The captain is trying to negotiate with the coalition, but they refuse to send ships into controlled space." Closed her eyes. No shuttle, no rescue. She was trapped on a dying planet with 23 injured children. How long until the second strike? 2 hours, maybe less. They want to finish what they started. 2 hours. She had 2 hours to find shelter strong enough to survive orbital bombardment. "Keep trying, do not give up on us." "I will not, I promise." She turned to the cubs. They were watching her with wide, frightened eyes. They did not understand the words she had spoken, but they understood her face. They knew something was wrong. Stepped forward. "We are trapped, are we not?" Could have lied. She could have pretended everything was fine, but was 7 years old and had already seen her world burn. She deserved the truth. "Yes," said, "but I am going to find a way. There has to be shelter somewhere, a bunker, a basement, something underground." Thought for a moment, then her ears lifted slightly. The emergency shelter. All colonies have them, for storms and attacks. It is beneath the ground behind the food storage building. Hope sparked in his chest. "Can you show me?" "Yes, but some of the cubs cannot walk. Their legs are broken." Looked at the injured children. 5 could not walk at all. 3 could barely stand. That left 15 who could move on their own, though slowly. "Then we carry them," said. She found broken pieces of metal and fabric in the rubble. She built simple stretchers, tying them together with bandages from her kit. The cubs who could walk helped her, following her instructions even though they did not fully trust her yet. When the stretchers were ready, lifted the smallest cub onto her back and tied him there with strips of cloth. He was light but warm against her body. His small claws dug into her shoulders, not to hurt, but to hold on. "Stay close to me," she told the others. "If you see fire or falling buildings, tell me. We move together. No one gets left behind." They began their journey through the burning colony. The path was terrible. Fires blocked many streets. Buildings had collapsed into mountains of broken stone. Bodies lay everywhere. Adults who had died trying to protect their home looked at them with empty eyes. She knew some of them, maybe all of them. Did not stop. She could not stop. Every minute brought them closer to the second strike. A building collapsed just ahead of them. Fire and smoke exploded into the air. The cubs screamed and scattered in fear. "No," shouted, "stay together, come to me." She gathered them with her arms, pulling them close, counting heads. 22, 23. Everyone was still here. "We go around," she said. "Follow me." They found another path. The food storage building appeared ahead, half destroyed but still standing. Behind it saw a metal door in the ground, the emergency shelter. "There," pointed with her paw. They ran, legs burned with exhaustion. The cub on her back felt heavier with every step. The toxic air made her lungs scream for clean oxygen. She reached the door and pulled. It did not move. She pulled harder, still nothing. "It is locked from inside," said. "There is a code." "Do you know it?" No, only the adults knew. Wanted to scream. They were so close to safety, and a locked door stood in their way. She looked at the door carefully. It was old, designed for emergencies, built to keep people out during attacks, but it was also damaged. The bombardment had cracked the frame, bent the edges. She pulled out her medical laser, a tool meant for surgery. It was not made for cutting metal, but she had no other choice. "Everyone stand back," she said. She turned the laser to its highest setting and began cutting. The metal glowed red, then white. Sparks flew everywhere. The door groaned and fought back. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The sky above them grew brighter as enemy ships took position for the second strike. Finally, the lock broke, kicked the door open, and saw stairs leading down into darkness. "Go," she shouted. "Everyone inside now." The cubs ran past her, jumping down the stairs, helped the injured ones, supporting them with her small body, grabbed the stretchers and carried them down herself, one by one, until all 23 cubs were underground. She was the last one in. She pulled the broken door closed behind her and jammed it shut with a metal bar. Outside, the sky turned white. The ground shook. Thunder filled the world, so loud it seemed to crush everything. The second strike had begun. Inside the bunker, the cubs huddled together in the darkness. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cracks appeared in the walls, but the shelter held. Sank to the floor, breathing hard. Her hands were burned from the laser. Her lungs felt like they were filled with glass, but they were alive. Crawled over to her and sat beside her. The young looked at the human who had carried them through fire and ruin, who had broken down doors with surgery tools, who had refused to leave them behind. "Why?" asked again. "You could have left, you could have saved yourself." Smiled weakly. "Because you needed me, that is reason enough." Above them, the world burned. But here, in this small dark space, 23 predator cubs pressed close to a human woman who had chosen them over her own life. And the long night began. The bombardment lasted 3 hours, 3 hours of thunder and shaking and fear. The cubs cried and screamed with every explosion. Some of them buried their faces in clothes, their small claws gripping her arms so tightly they drew blood. She did not push them away. She held them closer. When the shaking finally stopped, silence fell over the bunker, turned on her emergency light and looked around. The walls had cracked in several places. Dust covered everything, but they were alive. The bunker was small, designed for maybe 20 adult. With 23 cubs and 1 human, it felt crowded. Found the emergency supplies and checked them. There was water, but not much. There was food, but it was made for adults, raw meat that had gone bad long ago. Her own supplies were nearly empty. She had a few bottles of water, some nutrient paste, and medical equipment. That was all. Appeared beside her, looking at the supplies with serious eyes. "Not enough," she said. "No," agreed, "not enough." The cubs were thirsty. They had been breathing smoke and dust for hours. Their small bodies needed water to heal. Looked at her bottles, then at the children watching her with hopeful eyes. She opened the first bottle and gave it to. "Share it with the others, small sips, make it last." "What about you?" "I will be fine." It was a lie, needed water too. The toxic air had damaged her throat and lungs. Without water she would get weaker and weaker, but she could survive longer than the cubs. They were smaller, more fragile, more in need. She watched the cubs drink, passing the bottle from mouth to mouth. Some of them tried to take more than their share, stopped them with a growl and made sure everyone got the same amount. When the water was gone, opened her nutrient paste. It was made for humans, thick and gray and tasteless. She did not know if could eat it, but she had nothing else. "Try this," she said, offering some to the nearest cub. The cub sniffed it and made a face, but he was hungry, so he licked a small amount. His eyes went wide with disgust. "It is horrible," he said. Laughed softly. "Yes, but it will keep you alive." She gave the paste to the cubs who were too weak to complain. They ate it slowly, their faces twisted with displeasure, but they ate. Hours passed. The bunker grew cold. Cubs had thick fur, but they were young and injured. They started to shiver. Gathered them into the center of the room. She made the bigger cubs lie on the outside, forming a circle. The smaller cubs went in the middle where it was warmest. Then she sat among them, letting them press against her body. "You are so warm," one small cub said with surprise. "Like fire but soft." "Humans have warm blood," explained. "Our bodies make heat all the time." The cubs moved closer to her. Soon she was buried under a pile of silver fur and small bodies. Their weight pressed down on her, but she did not mind. Their warmth mixed with hers, and slowly the shivering stopped. In the darkness, fear still lived. The cubs could not see, and their imaginations created monsters in every shadow. One cub started crying, then another, then another. Soon the bunker was filled with the sound of frightened children. Did not know what to do. She could not make the fear go away. She could not promise that everything would be fine. She did not know if help was coming or if they would die here in the dark. But she remembered something from her own childhood. When she was small and afraid, her mother would sing to her. The songs did not make the fear disappear, but they made it smaller. They reminded her that she was not alone. So began to sing. Her voice was rough from the toxic air, broken and weak, but she sang anyway. She sang songs from Earth, old songs her grandmother had taught her, songs about mountains and rivers and stars, songs about love and hope and home. The cubs did not understand the words, but they understood the feeling. Slowly, one by one, they stopped crying. They listened to the strange sounds coming from this strange creature who had carried them through fire. "What are you doing?" asked quietly. "Singing. It is something humans do when they are scared or sad. It helps." "Teach me." So taught a simple song, just a few notes repeated over and over. His voice was different from human voices, deeper and rougher, but she learned quickly. Soon she was humming along with. Other cubs joined. They could not make the same sounds, but they tried. The bunker filled with a strange, beautiful noise, human singing mixed with humming. It was not perfect. It was not even good, but it was alive. When the songs ended, told stories. She told them about Earth, about oceans that covered half the planet, about forests so thick you could not see the sky, about mountains that touched the clouds. She told them about snow, frozen water that fell from the sky and covered everything in white. The cubs had never seen snow. They asked 100 questions and answered every one. "Is Earth beautiful?" a small cub asked. "Yes," said. "Very beautiful, but so is your world. I saw it from space before the bombing. Green forests and silver rivers. It was lovely." The cub's eyes filled with tears. "It is gone now." Pulled the cub close. "The buildings are gone, the cities are gone, but the land is still there. The rivers will still flow, the forests will grow back. Your world is hurt, but it is not dead, and neither are you." More hours passed. His body grew weaker. The toxic air had done more damage than she realized. Her lungs burned with every breath. Her vision blurred at the edges. She was dying slowly, and she knew it. Noticed. The young watched carefully, seeing the way her hands trembled, the way her breathing grew shallow. "You are sick," said. "A little." "You are lying, I can smell it. Your body is breaking." Smiled weakly. "Have good noses." "Why did you take off your helmet in the nursery when you first found us? The air was poison. Why did you breathe it?" "Because you needed to see my face. You needed to know I was not a threat." Stared at her for a long moment. "You are dying because you wanted us to trust you." "I am dying because I chose to save you. There is a difference." Why would you choose this?" Thought about the question. She thought about her life, her choices, the path that had led her to this moment. She thought about all the people she had saved and all the people she had failed to save. She thought about the universe, vast and cold and full of species that hated and feared each other. "Because you are children," she finally said. "That is enough. It has to be enough." Was silent. Then she lay down beside and pressed her small body against the human's side. "My mother used to hold me like this," whispered, "before she died. I am sorry. She would have liked you. She always said that strength is not about claws or teeth. It is about what you are willing to sacrifice." Closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. The darkness at the edge of her vision grew larger. The cubs felt her growing cold. They panicked, crying and pressing closer to her, trying to share their warmth with her body. "Do not die," a small cub begged. "Please do not die." But could not answer. Her consciousness faded and she fell into darkness. The cubs piled on top of her, covering every part of her body with their fur, pressed her ear against chest, listening to her heartbeat grow weaker and weaker. Above the planet, far away in space, Admiral of the fleet received a message. A human had stayed behind to save the cubs. A human was dying to protect children. He read the message 3 times. Then he ordered his entire fleet to break through the blockade. Admiral was the most feared warrior in the Empire. He stood 4 meters tall, his fur black as space, his eyes red as dying stars. He had commanded fleets for 50 years. He had destroyed entire planets. He had never lost a battle. And he had never cried, not once in his long life, not when his brothers died in war, not when his mate was killed by assassins. He was made of stone and steel and cold fire. But when he read the report about the human woman, something cracked inside him. A soft creature, a small creature with no claws, no fangs, no armor. She had walked into fire to save cubs. She had given them her water, her food, her breath. She was dying in a dark hole, surrounded by children she had no reason to love. Why? The question burned in his mind. Why would any creature do this? They had 12 warships guarding the planet. Breaking through would cost lives, many lives. His officers advised caution. They said the cubs were probably already dead. They said one human was not worth the sacrifice. Silenced them with a look. "That human," he said slowly, "has shown more honor than this entire fleet. She is dying for our children, and you want me to leave her?" No one spoke. "All ships," ordered. "Attack formation, we break through now." The fleet moved like hungry wolves, 15 warships against 12. The numbers were close, but they had something they did not have. They had rage. They had shame. They had the burning need to prove that they were worthy of what one human had done for them. The battle was brutal. Ships exploded in flashes of light. Thousands died in seconds. They fought hard, but they were relentless. They pushed forward no matter the cost. On board Harmony's Edge, Han watched the battle with wide eyes. She was a human diplomat trained to talk, not fight. But she knew that words alone could not save. Someone had to do something more. She ran to the communication center and began sending messages. She sent mission logs to every news station in the galaxy. She sent footage from the shuttle's cameras, showing entering the burning colony. She sent recordings from Helmet, showing her treating injured cubs, singing to them in the dark. The galaxy watched. They saw a human woman carry dying predator children through fire. They saw her give away her water, her food, her life. They heard her tell the cubs stories about Earth, about snow and oceans and forests. They heard her sing songs in a broken voice to frighten children who did not understand the words. And something changed. Species that had hated them for centuries saw something new. They saw that these monsters were also parents and children. They saw cubs crying for their mothers. They saw a young girl protecting her family with nothing but courage and will. Messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Some were angry, calling a traitor to her kind for helping predators, but many more were different. They were messages of support, of admiration, of shame. "We were wrong," wrote one citizen. "We called them animals, but we are the ones who bombed a nursery." The government faced a crisis. Their own people were turning against them. Protests erupted on a dozen worlds. The war that had seemed so justified suddenly looked very different. Meanwhile, the fleet broke through. The warships retreated, their commanders unwilling to die for a war that no one supported anymore. Did not celebrate. He sent his fastest ship to the surface with orders to find the bunker and save everyone inside. On Harmony's edge, Sargent led the rescue team. She was a Marine, hard and strong, with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much death. She had served with for 3 years. She had watched her friend walk into impossible situations and come out alive. This time felt different. This time felt like goodbye. "Get ready for atmospheric entry," she told her team. "We hit the ground in 10 minutes. Our mission is simple. Find Dr. Park, find the Cubs, bring everyone home." The ship screamed through the atmosphere, dodging debris and avoiding fires. They landed near the destroyed colony and began searching. The bunker was buried under rubble. The second bombardment had collapsed buildings on top of it. For a terrible moment, thought they were too late. Then her scanner detected life signs, faint but real. Someone was alive down there. "Cut through," she ordered, "now." Her team used heavy equipment to move the rubble. It took 30 minutes of desperate work, but finally they reached the bunker door. It was jammed shut, held closed by a metal bar. Pulled the door open and shined her light inside. She saw cubs. Dozens of silver cubs piled together in the center of the room. They were covered in dust and blood, their eyes wide with fear. When they saw the light, they growled and pressed closer together. Under them, almost invisible, was a human woman. She was not moving. Rushed forward. The cubs blocked her path. The biggest one, a young female with golden eyes, bared her teeth. "Stay back," snarled. "You will not hurt her." "I am not here to hurt anyone. I am here to save her. I am her friend." Studied the Marine carefully. Then she looked at the other soldiers behind her, at their weapons and armor. "She saved us," said. "She gave us everything. If you hurt her, I will kill you. I do not care how big you are." Knelt down slowly. She put her weapon on the ground and held up her empty hands. "I know she saved you. That is why I am here. I will not let her die, but I need you to trust me, please." Hesitated, then she stepped aside. Rushed to side. Her friend was barely breathing. Her skin was gray and cold. Her heartbeat was weak and irregular. Medics shouted, "I need help here now." The medical team rushed in. They worked frantically, giving oxygen, injecting medicine, trying to stabilize her failing body. The cubs watched in terrified silence, pressing against each other for comfort. "Her heart is stopping," the medic said. "We're losing her." Grabbed the defibrillator. "Not today, not like this." She pressed the device to his chest. The machine charged. The shock hit his body, making it jump. Nothing. Again. Nothing. Again. This time a weak heartbeat appeared, then another, then another. "We have her," the medic said with relief. "She's stable, barely but stable." Let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Then she looked at the cubs. "Can you walk? We need to get everyone out of here." Most of the cubs could walk. The injured ones were placed on stretchers, refused to leave side, walking next to the medics as they carried her unconscious body to the ship. When they emerged from the bunker, the sky was filled with ships. Admiral's fleet had taken control of the orbit. Medical ships were landing everywhere, bringing supplies and doctors. Looked up at the massive warships and felt something she had not felt in days. Hope. On the medical ship was placed in a special chamber that would heal her damaged lungs. The doctors said she had a chance. A small chance, but a chance. The cubs refused to leave the medical bay. When the staff tried to move them, they growled and snapped. When they tried to force them, bit a nurse on the hand. Finally, the doctors gave up. They made beds around the chamber and let the cubs stay. "They will not leave her," reported to Captain Lee. "They say she is their guardian now, something about law." Captain Lee looked at the image of the medical bay, at the small human woman surrounded by sleeping predator cubs. "Let them stay," he said quietly. "After everything she gave them, it's the least we can do." The ship began its journey back to Harmony's edge. Behind them, the ruined planet grew smaller and smaller. But the story was not over. It had only begun. On the medical deck of Harmony's edge, machines beeped and hummed. Doctors came and went, checking readings and adjusting treatments. But the most important work was done by the small bodies that refused to leave. 23 cubs had arranged themselves around bed. They slept in shifts, some curled at her feet, others pressed against her sides, a few resting their heads on her arms. Had claimed the spot closest to his heart, her ear pressed against the blanket so she could hear every beat. The nurses had stopped trying to move them. The doctors had accepted the situation. The cubs stayed, and that was that. Dreamed of fire and smoke. She dreamed of carrying small bodies through collapsing buildings. She dreamed of singing in the dark to children who did not understand her words. The dreams were not peaceful, but they were not nightmares either. They were memories, heavy and real. Then the dreams faded and warmth replaced them. Strange warmth, soft and living. It surrounded her like a blanket made of clouds. She opened her eyes. The ceiling above her was white and clean. Medical equipment surrounded her bed, blinking with quiet lights. She was in a hospital. She was alive. But what was that weight on her body? She looked down and saw fur, silver and gray fur everywhere. Small bodies pressed against her, rising and falling with gentle breaths. Cubs. The cubs were here, sleeping around her like she was the center of their world. His golden eyes opened. The young looked at for a long moment, her face showing no expression. Then something changed. Her ears lifted. Her tail, hidden under the blanket, began to move slowly back and forth. "You are awake," said. Yes, his voice was rough and weak. "I am awake." Did not move. She stayed pressed against the side, her paw resting on the human's hand. "We did not leave you," said. "The doctors tried to make us go. We refused." "How long?" 3 days. Your heart stopped twice. The machines brought you back." Closed her eyes. She had almost died. She had almost left these children alone again. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I should have been stronger." Made a sound that was almost like human laughter. "Stronger. You carried us through fire. You gave us your water, your food, your air. You sang to us in the dark when we were afraid. And you are sorry for not being strong enough." The other cubs were waking now, disturbed by the voices. One by one, they lifted their heads and saw us open eyes. Joy spread across their small faces. "She is awake, she is awake." They pressed closer to her, careful not to hurt her but desperate to be near. Small paws touched her arms, her face, her hair. Small noses pressed against her skin, breathing in her scent as if to make sure she was real. Felt tears running down her cheeks. She had not expected to wake up. She had not expected to see these faces again. "I am glad you are safe," she said. "All of you, I am so glad." The door opened and a massive figure entered. Admiral had to bend low to fit through the door. His red eyes swept across the room, taking in the scene. The small human woman buried under a pile of cubs, the tears on her face, the joy on theirs. He walked to the bed and knelt. Even kneeling, he was taller than most standing humans. His black fur gleamed under the medical lights. His claws, each longer than his fingers, clicked against the floor. Tensed, ready to protect from this stranger. But something in the Admiral's posture made her pause. He was not threatening. He was humbling himself. "Dr. Park," said. His voice was deep as thunder but soft as snow. "I am Admiral of the Empire. I have commanded fleets. I have destroyed planets. I have killed more enemies than I can count." He lowered his head until his nose nearly touched the floor. "But I have never seen courage like yours. You walked into fire for children who were not your own. You gave your life for creatures the galaxy calls monsters. You showed us that compassion is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. Did not know what to say. She had not done this for praise or honor. She had done it because it was right. The cubs, she said, what will happen to them? Lifted his head. Their families are gone. The colony was destroyed. By our law, they are orphans without clan. What does that mean? It means they belong to no one. They have no protection, no home, no future. He paused. Unless someone claims them. Claims them. You saved their lives. By the oldest law of our people, you are their their sacred guardian. You have the right to speak for them, to protect them, to raise them as your own. His red eyes met hers. If you wish it. Looked at the cubs around her. 23 children who had lost everything. 23 pairs of eyes watching her, hopping, waiting. I am human, she said. I do not know how to raise children. I do not know your customs, your food, your education. How can I be their guardian? You do not need to do it alone. The Empire will provide support, teachers, everything you need. But they need you. They have bonded with you in ways that cannot be broken. If you leave them, they will survive. But they will never be whole. Pressed closer too. Her small body trembled with emotion she was trying to hide. Please, whispered, please do not leave us. Remembered the bunker. She remembered the darkness and the fear and the songs she sang to frighten children. She remembered the warmth of small bodies pressed against her, trusting her completely. She had come to save them, but maybe they had saved her too. I will stay, she said. Made a sound of joy. The other cubs echoed it, a chorus of happy cries that filled the medical bay. They pressed against, covering her with warmth and love and the knowledge that she was theirs and they were hers. Watched this with something strange in his ancient eyes. Perhaps it was wonder, perhaps it was hope. The galaxy is watching, he said quietly. Your actions have changed things. They have agreed to peace talks. Species that hated us for generations are sending messages of support. You have done more than save 23 cubs. You have shown the universe that kindness is possible, even between enemies. Barely heard him. She was too busy holding her children, stroking their fur, memorizing their faces. Each one was different. Each one was precious. The news spread across the stars. Images of surrounded by cubs appeared on every screen in the galaxy. Her story was told again and again, growing larger with each telling. People called her many things: the mother of fangs, the human who loved monsters, the woman who changed the universe. But to 23 children she was simply their guardian, their protector, their family. Years passed. The cubs grew into warriors, scientists, diplomats. They went out into the galaxy and carried her lessons with them. They taught others what she had taught them, that kindness is not foolishness, that mercy is not weakness, that the smallest creatures can have the strongest hearts. And whenever they were afraid, whenever the darkness seemed too deep, they remembered a human woman who had walked through fire for them. They remembered her songs and her stories and her warmth. They remembered that they were loved. On quiet nights when the stars filled the sky, would sit surrounded by her grown children. They were huge now, towering over her small human frame. Their claws could crush metal. Their teeth could tear through armor. The galaxy still feared them. But when they looked at her, they were cubs again, small and scared and desperate to be held. She would hold them anyway. And she would sing.